Hey guys, this is probably the video that you've been all waiting for. Today I will present you my league starter for 1.2, which is going to be a Fire Dragonsong Heartseeker into Reign of Winter Icicle Heartseeker, fire to cold conversion basically. Before we start, there was a video that I posted yesterday, which is a marksman leveling guide. I would highly recommend to watch this video. I also link it in my description before you watch this one, because I just talked about how I level from level 1 to basically until we unlock Heartseeker, so that you have a smooth transition into this build, understand all the steps. It was just really important for me, like that you enjoy your build from level 1 until the end. So please watch the video before, and then I will show you basically everything how I do it here with my Heartseeker guide. So real quick, there was the last part where I stopped with the last video. This is pretty much the whole passive tree until we reach Heartseeker. How to get Heartseeker basically, when you reach this point where you exactly here, 5 points before Heartseeker, you go into the end of time where you find the Chronomancer where you can respec your passive points. What you do is you put those 5 points out of here, put 3 points into here, take those 3 points out of here, so that you have, again, 5 more points left, put it into here, and then you unlock Heartseeker. What I'm trying to do is, for my league start, I switch from a bleed puncture into a crit version with Heartseeker. I personally don't want to start with a dot version on Heartseeker because I have the feeling that survivability in the beginning will be a bit hard, especially if we don't have like good clear. I just want to play Heartseeker alone as my main skill, and all the other skills are just like support skills that buff my playstyle. That's why I just switch to the crit version, and basically at the end with the fire version do AoE, or basically the clear with the Dragonsong proc or with the Puncture proc. In the end game, the Reign of Winter will do my Icicle proc. I want to play the cold version in endgame because I finally want to play a marksman where I can stay on range. On Dragonsong, you always have to be a little bit more close range. This will be probably more DPS at the end. Also, there's a max roll guide that does the Dragonsong version. That's why I want to play the full cold conversion with the Reign of Winter bow. That's how I basically will progress in my leveling. So on Thursday when we start, I do daily content. I will always update you with my progress, so that you just know. So if you're interested in how my gear is, you can always check by to my videos. And let's just basically start, or maybe also just a quick information for you how I do my builds. For me, it is very important that it's accessible to every player. For beginners, for veterans, I just want you to enjoy the build, to have fun. Same for me. I always prefer quality of life over DPS. So if I get some mechanics out of the build where I can really start to enjoy the build a lot more, this is usually where I go to. I don't really care if I kill Aberoth in 10 seconds or if I kill Aberoth in 1 minute at least. Once I kill him, the job is done for me. But the whole journey from level 1 to 100, I want to enjoy with my build and don't really care about, okay, is it like the top DPS build? At the end of the day, we want to enjoy the whole game, and that's what matters to me. That's why for me, it's okay to reduce maybe a little bit of DPS, but at least enjoy the whole gameplay, a complete all-rounder build from mapping, bossing, survivability, whatever. This is pretty much what I'm coming from. Also, what I said before with the accessibility, I'm not the type of guy that puts red rings, nihilists, uber heavy uniques into the build planner. Okay, I want, like I said, there are so many casuals watching my video. This is everything that you can achieve if you just put a little bit more time in. There are so many players that will not really reach like all those crazy build planners. So as I said, as easy for you, as comfortable for you as possible. Also, why did I choose Icicle over Dragonsong? If we just look into the tree real quick, the Dragonsong version wants to play also with the Burning Daggers so that you have more procs. More procs from Burning Daggers also mean that you proc your Dragonfire buff from the bow a lot more. But the line down here with the mana consume, we can imagine that this is going to drain a lot of mana because it's based on recurve, and therefore you need this node here with the mana gain, taking a lot of nodes out of the whole tree here. That's why in my cold version I can fully concentrate just on attack speed, damage multipliers everywhere, and can just spam the skill without worrying about any mana. Okay, right from the beginning. Also with my Dragonsong beginning here, you will not have to worry about mana at all. You can just hold right click, kill every monster in the game with the Puncture procs, with good clear, with good single target damage. WASD is coming. This is going to be like a big survivability upgrade for you guys because it's way easier to dodge while like also pointing to a character. So it's probably going to be a very smooth feeling for you from the beginning to the end game. So let's start with the whole leveling here. Maybe just to explain like why I choose certain builds. So what is this build basically about? The fire version. The reason why I start with the fire version. During a league start, we don't have good gear in the beginning. So I was thinking about, okay, how can I basically make my Heartseeker as strong as possible in the beginning? The fire conversion in the beginning makes more sense because of one node down here, which is the Dragonsong buff. We get a shit ton of flat damage here for bow fire damage and also for the spell fire damage once we also get the Dragonsong. So this is a lot of free flat damage that we can get here in combination later with some passives like this one and this one only a couple points into it. You will immediately, and to those nodes you will come immediately while leveling, will get a shit ton of flat damage. That's also why I usually prefer these days to go with a crit build instead of a dot build, just because of these two nodes here. This node gives you 250% increased bow damage. And with skills like multi-shot, blast rain, Heartseeker, basically skills that have a lot of like procs or hits, you only need like 2 or 3 points to always cap this node here and to get the full damage potential. So 250% increased damage early on is quite a lot, which you cannot get for dot. That's why, like I said, I want to go with the fire version. The most or the biggest problem in the beginning, of course, is to get this bow. But as I said, we don't really need it. We will probably just be comfortable enough with this node here to get us through the whole campaign. Your number one goal in the beginning is to use all your Rune of Ascendance and put it on any bow that you find. It doesn't matter, white, blue, rare bow. Put it on top. Try to gamble this Dragonsong node. Also, try to do every nemesis that you find in your maps. Maybe there's a chance to get the Dragonsong bow. You should not struggle that hard until you reach it. Maybe you're unlucky and you reach it or get it in the end game. Also with COF, MG, trust me, you will find this bow. Other important uniques while leveling, Morning Frost, and because Dragonsong has this Dragonfire proc, which is a spell, the same also for the Rain of Winter later. Also the Icicle procs are a spell, so both builds we scale with Morning Frost. We scale it with cold damage though, so the only disadvantage on the Dragonfire version is you mix fire and cold. So basically here you need to switch your damage type to increased elemental damage. Again, now I'm talking about quality of life. With my endgame build, I can fully focus on cold because we scale the flat part, cold damage from Heartseeker plus the cold damage from the Icicle procs. It's just one element, way easier to level. This one also should be fairly easy to get. It's a low level unique also, so quite easy. I think you will find it early on. This one also very easy to get. You can target farm it in Lightless Arbor. Very easy to get, but the big advantage here is that you get a shit ton of crit chance, which we need it because the spells have 5% flat crit. With Dragonsong, all our fire skills, also the Dragonfire proc included, has more base crit. So in combination with this, you will get a lot of crits early on way easier. The reason why I don't start this version here is because Rain of Winter doesn't have like flat crit on top of it. Also Dragonsong you can get at level 36. Rain of Winter you will get later in normal monoliths from Herod, the boss. Very easy also to drop. It's a 50% chance. But I basically switch into this build once I find the Reign of Winter with 1 LP. These days now, back in the days when we did like Bowmage builds, it was quite hard to start Bowmage because you want this hybrid crit bow attack speed FX. Now with the new change to Temporal Sanctum, it is very easy to get this bow now with this FX. You don't need really the T7. You can also like start it with T5, T6. It's enough to start the build. Once you have this bow, 1 LP, find an exalted bow that has a T6 or a T7. Craft the hybrid mod on top. Use a Rune of Havoc until the hybrid mod is T6 or T7. Guaranteed craft on a bow. You switch to the cold version. That's how I want to do it. And then I can play fully range. Don't have to worry about mana. Just can blast through the monos from range and just enjoy the whole game. That's the basic concept behind it. Like I said, those 3 uniques chase items in the beginning. This one at the end, we just want to fill up like more damage or armor. We also get a lot of armor buff actually, so this is has quite a good synergy with the Shurikens procs later. Also, we get more damage from cold and fire, so both from the fire version and the cold version. Big synergy, big advantage here. But this is probably the last unique that I would recommend you to get. Still, this is the one that we want to have on our idle slot. Okay, let's talk a little bit about leveling. So as I said, you will probably not have these uniques in the beginning. The number one goal in the beginning is to get any bow that has like high base damage. So for example, I can always recommend something like a longbow, or you can do something like a Dread Thorn bow. Why? Because this one has flat crit, bow crit multi, a lot of good stats. But even I think with the longbow, because it has a lot of flat damage in combination with the sharpshooter passive, a lot of damage that you do early on. Also, this one goes to the Puncture proc so that your clear is better. You should not struggle with these bows until you find your Dragonsong bow. If you need some affixes on top, if you want to craft it, try to do something like hybrid crit. You can put something like flat damage. For suffixes, you can do something like chill, slow, but just make sure that you get like the highest damage out of it with flat damage, attack speed, or crit chance. The crit chance I would probably prefer just to do, of course, more damage. So this is pretty much the first unique that you chase. For passives, how does it look? I already have this one. You will have the whole passive tree progression. So basically, we start with Heartseeker right here, but I already like put the new points into it. So let's just go over it real quick. The beginning, I think, is clear. 8 points into attack speed, flat damage. It is going to be a dex scaling marksman build. So that's why I switched from here already to the dex in the beginning. 1.1.5 points for the increased damage per movement speed. We will have a lot of movement speed with this build, trust me. And then, like I said, we go to Marksman. This one, increased attack speed. We want to have as much attack speed as possible because we have a low mana cost skill. That's why we can just like hold right click, destroy everything with a quick animation, and we get this crazy health gain on hit, also very strong. 5 points here for the evade. 5 points here to get the important +2 flat crit for our Heartseeker. Trick in the beginning, put 1 point into Woundmaker. That's a 1-point wonder. This basically always means that you only need to take care of your crit chance until you reach 80% crit chance, because this one technically says that you get 20% flat crit on top of the enemy. It's a debuff, like I said, that where you get like 2 flat crit chance on the enemy, maximum 10 stacks, and with a skill again like multi-shot, like Heartseeker, like Blast Rain that hits quite a lot. This buff is always up. Always. Okay, 1-point wonder, you don't need more, and you only need to care about taking your crit chance to 80%. This whole part here for defense, for movement speed, still very important in the beginning. What I like to do here is to get the 1-point wonder Silver Shroud combo here. That basically means every 10 seconds you proc this Arrow Storm, get a free Silver Shroud so that you dodge the next attack. And at this point, like I said, this happens quite fast once you enable Heartseeker. 2 points here is enough with a skill that procs a lot to get all the 10 stacks. And out of nowhere, you have 25 and 250 increased damage, which is a lot. The rest you put into the flat bow damage, which will get converted into fire, what we do in the beginning. And after this, we put out or just fill up a little bit more of the points here. So what we do is, once you reach this part here, We get the 40% free recurve chance for Heartseeker. We get the bow critical strike multiplier here. We also get crit avoidance that we cap with one more slot or one more affix later, and the body armor that I will show you later. 1 point into here to get a little bit more crit chance. This 1 point is enough to cap your crit chance out. Technically, you can also put more points if you want more crit chance, but I will show you later if we go over the skills that crit chance is no problem with this build. This one and this one is your health gain. We don't play with leech. We have so many ticks, so many procs that we sustain our life with these two nodes here. After this, let's see how I continue, because I also can remember exactly how I did my progress. I put points into decks here and into decks here. This depends a little bit on your gear. So if you don't find Morning Frost, then technically it is also possible, of course, to not go this direction and to basically get a more damage here. Okay, like I said, it's hard to tell you exactly like what's the perfect passive tree progression, because it always depends on gear. It's just for me important to tell you, like, so that you understand. Mix it a little bit up depending on your gear, because I don't know what you have. I'm just giving you like the best possible way to explain how I do my certain situations, or like yeah, ways how I build my gear. So here in this way, I was thinking about, okay, I get Morning Frost as early as possible, so I put the 8 points or all the 8 points here into decks. And then I fill out more points. I got this one up for 4 points set. We need 4 points to get this one. For a bit more armor shred. Armor shred we already get here in this node quite a lot. Usually like, yeah, I just try to reach like 100, between 100 and 150 armor shred stacks, especially if we not play a physical build, because then the value is a little bit lower with diminishing return. But even with this node and 1 point over here, you should be, or you should have a lot of armor shred stacks to really bring the damage up higher. And basically after this, I just yeah, fill up all the other important points, like this one for more damage. What else did I got here? Like I said, Falconer, you can get them more damage because we pretty much will always have haste. A little bit of health and dodge here, a little bit of dodge rating and the endurance threshold. Here I just only pushed up the dexterity plus some glancing blow. We will not really like cap glancing blow, but there is a mechanic that I will do with black arrows where you get more dust shrouds. But I usually prefer on my marksman to go damage over defense, because I play softcore. At a certain point you will get one shot. This is just like how marksman works. But we want to kill the enemies as fast as possible from range, so that we don't need to worry that much about like resistances or defenses. So this is pretty much, like I said, the basic setup with the whole progression. You can always look over it. I hope that I didn't forget any important note. At the end also, I think there's this one exactly. Put the points up. You can also do this a little bit earlier if you struggle with defenses. Reduce damage taken while moving. Dodge chance. I think every note here should be clear why I use it, and I think every note I already explained here. Let's talk about the skills first, and then I will go over the rest of the gear. So for Heartseeker, how do I level it? We already saw in the video from Carve where he was showcasing Puncture. He was also, or not, sorry, not Puncture, Heartseeker. He was already like speccing into Puncture and into this node up here to just pretty much like, yeah, showcase how this crazy recurve mechanic works with the Puncture proc. That's what I will also do in the beginning. So once you unlock Heartseeker, put it into here, 1 point, 1 point. It will no longer seek to other enemies, but you will get the Puncture proc. Now with the Puncture proc, it is very important to understand how you do the gameplay for the whole build. Always, if there are more enemies around, always go for the low HP monster. Because otherwise, if you focus on like a boss or something, and there's so many mobs around you, it will take, of course, longer to kill the boss, but in the meantime, they will all rush to you. We don't have any like crazy AoE clear skill. We all do by Heartseeker, so we have to play a little bit smarter now. Kill the low HP monsters first, so that the procs come out. The procs or puncture procs will kill all the trash mobs, and then we focus on the high HP monster, like a boss, like a rare enemy, whatever. That's why I want to go with this one. Later, I explain in my endgame build why I don't specialize in the puncture anymore. After this, like I said, minimum recurve chance here. I think this is one of the best nodes in the entire Heartseeker tree, just to get like more procs out of it. After this, I will immediately go for the fire conversion, as I said before, and buff out this node so that we can get a lot of free flat damage. Helps out a lot while we're leveling and while we have shit gear. From this point on, we go over here. Very good node to increase with a more multiplier for our recurves, basically. Also, check out the nodes down here. Once I'm at level 19, I put two more points into here. Maybe at this point I already have Dragonsong. If not, it's not a problem. But with the increased base crit chance, we have a lot of more procs from Dragonfire. And then my 20th point, I go into here. Why do I put it later? Well, in the beginning of the game, we don't have much dex, so the value of this node is not that good. But my 20th, my basically last point, I want to put into here so that we get a little bit of more recurve chance. If you, of course, have your Dragonsong, then you have more points into it. So we have another additional 2 points that we can put into here and a little bit more into attack speed. I have 24 here because I have a +2 Heartseeker as well. Probably you will not reach this point. So with the Dragonsong, you will probably land at 22. But then after it, if you already have like a body armor with +2, Heartseeker +1, just put it into attack speed or more damage. Doesn't really matter. We have to see what feels better. This is for our main skill. Like I said, we only attack with our right click with Heartseeker. Puncture. Puncture is a little bit weird because with the proc from Heartseeker, we don't get really a lot of value from the skill tree. So basically the only important nodes here is the frenzy duration, which works because it also is similar how it acts to the net puncture proc, and this also like gives you the frenzy. So this node and the more multiplier here, because it's direct more multiplier. All the other multipliers from here only work when an enemy already has an ailment on top. And normally you only attack with Heartseeker like one enemy, so all the enemies around you, they don't have any ailments. That's why I think these nodes only are very, very valuable, and the rest is just like, yeah, just a little bit of more damage. But for leveling, I would recommend to go Puncture because we want the speed pretty much from Frenzy, and this will feel good. In my Icicle version, I actually completely unspecialize Puncture, even though I use the proc and go for a more defensive setup, also with the Frenzy duration here, plus a experimental mod here on the boots. Okay, just something that you already know. So basically the most important nodes here, Frenzy and the flat damage so that you kill trash mobs quicker. For Shift, my movement skill, also the skill to proc the Shurikens for the armor buff. This is a pretty classic setup that I already did for multi-shot. So the whole leveling progression as well here, cooldown, movement speed, invulnerability, Shuriken proc for the armor, and then we get the free cleanse here. Should be pretty much straightforward to you to understand that this will be the one that we pretty much travel around the whole map. My smoke bomb is my guaranteed silver shroud. Also, we put the duration, we put the glancing blow up. Usually, if you or kite with WASD inside of a smoke bomb and pick up later all the black arrows, you should pretty much cap your glancing blow. But this I will go over later with my endgame planner here. So pretty much the simple or the classic setup that I also did on my multi-shot. Also here a little bit more or less damage over time taken. Slow we usually don't need, we have it on a quiver. Also you get a cleanse here. So yeah, the classic setup for smoke bomb. For shurikens, try to rush the armor, try to rush the pierce, otherwise you will lose the armor buff. 1 point here is enough to always have it up if you combine it with shift of the cooldown. And then we do this trick here where we get our immobilized enemies once they hit, or once you hit them with your shurikens around you. So also classic setup to multi-shot. For the gear while leveling, so basically what I'm trying to focus on for a prefix, of course, dexterity. Here on this version, elemental damage, so that we benefit both from the Dragonfire proc and the flat cold damage from here. Defenses, try to get the resistances up. Once we have more dexterity, of course, you will struggle a lot more with cold and physical resistance. So that's why I also left the idle slots completely free here. Make sure that you put the idols inside to make your defenses look better. Okay, I cannot really tell you because it all depends like on the drops. That's why I just put the basic setup here. Also, while leveling, you could either go with this one or the Spider Silk because it will help you out with resistances. The goal is to go as much armor as possible in combination with the Throne of Ambition and in combination, of course, with the Shuriken proc setup. So this is how we get a lot of armor and reduce damage taken. Silver rings, like I said, I prefer them because I just want speed. You can go with other rings, of course, later you can go with red rings, but you have to find them first. This is going to be the go-to body armor because we get flat crit on the implicit and the crit avoidance. So crit avoidance here, again, with the crit avoidance here, plus one more crit avoidance on your suffix somewhere, you will cap your crit avoidance. But this is the best in slot body armor just because of the flat crit to enable like all our hits, Heartseeker and the procs from Dragonsong and Icicle to like have like a 100% crit chance. Suffixes, health, dodge, also quite a typical setup. Bone Amulet is very good in the beginning because you will get a lot of resistances. Focus on crit multi. On a Dragonfire version, you can go something like with increased area. Here I actually go with the cold penetration to focus more on damage, of course. Also here on gloves, I put area. You can also go crit chance. It's fine. I just try to do something different here. But hybrid hybrid health here, endurance to max it out, pretty much the go-to. For Quiver, we actually have a lot of options. We'll talk about this later. Try to get the Spider Silk because it's 10% more damage to slowed enemies, so we slow them all. That's pretty cool. Bow attack speed, dexterity has a lot of value, and also here chill and slow chance. Pretty much, sorry, the slow chance you can actually put away here. That is my mistake. So you can put something like resistance. Try to put resistance on top here to make your gearing a lot easier. And this is pretty much my go-to planner with the fire version. Like I said, I'm trying to take Dragonsong as early as possible. It should be quite easy to obtain. And then, as I said, later I will switch over to my cold conversion here. So again, what is different? We stay on range now. We found our 1 LP Reign of Winter. We put the hybrid crit on top, and then basically the build starts working. What is different to the Dragonfire version? Basically not much because the scaling is quite similar, only that I pretty much changed from elemental damage to pure cold damage. Also, Blessing, I can just focus on one shred and not on two shreds. So here I can put like the cold shred on top of it. The rest, you can put void resistance here. You can put lightning resistance if you need it. Otherwise, you can also go cold damage. Here I would probably prefer to go all res because with Morning Frost, you will struggle a lot with physical and the cold conversion here and get the armor. More defenses, of course, here. Other than that, of course, 4LP items, you don't have like or have to have those items here, but like I said, just to give you a little bit goal what you can get on top of the items. On Reign of Winter, the most important goal is of course to get the hybrid crit and the crit multi. And on Peak of the Mountain, I prefer of course Dex because this is like all the damage scaling where it comes from. What I'm trying to figure out is if I want to go increase damage while wielding a bow or the new recurve chance, but the recurve is not really like that much on a helmet. So on body armor, it's a bit higher, but on body armor, we have level of Heartseeker plus dexterity, very important stats. So probably just a steal where I'm going to actually. For the amulet, like I said, pretty much the same, just with the cold penetration here. This one is pretty much the same to the fire version. This one, I like to go with the Troaka just a little bit for also style reason because we have the Icicle procs, we have our cold conversion Heartseeker, and then we also convert our Puncture into like a cold projectile. Looks pretty cool. Also, this item is not that hard to get with high LP, like 3 or 4 LP. 4 LP, of course, is quite hard, but if you can get something like this, this could be an endgame goal. It is completely fine if you go with the quiver that we played before, with the Spider Silk quiver, with the stats that I also showed you. No worries. I am personally not a fan because I saw some people already trying to go with the Crystal Wind. We attack constantly with our low mana cost skill, so therefore you don't really get the stacks up that much. I would go this quiver with a Hail of Arrow build, but not really with this build where I just hold right click and destroy everything. So yeah, either, like I said, this quiver, or when you have more LP, go with Troakas. This one, If you don't have it, you can also just simply switch it out to an ancient coin, because the ancient coin has a lot of crit chance early on. Health gain on crit, also very cool to sustain everything. The stats that you want to have on your Exalted is something like crit multi, dex, res, endurance. But once you get this sphere here, can I pronounce the first word? You will have a shit ton of cold resistance, lightning resistance, which is very good. Also increased cold damage for every water orb that you put out. So you can also get a lot of increased damage here. I would recommend 1 or 2 LP. Then I will switch to this one. But these 3 items here are always the base for the build. Okay, this is just like additional stuff that you can do. But this one alone, the build starts to work when you have those equipped. Gloves also, of course, you can go Ravenous Void, but just, like I said, it's a league start. Make it easy for you. Crit chance, hybrid health, endurance. Something like this, very easy to obtain. For our belt, now we can finally focus on cold damage. Here, there is no elemental damage on a belt, so you either go fire or cold. Now, like I said, pure damage for our projectiles. Go health. Go with a cleanse. Also, a T1 cleanse on a prefix is enough. Cold damage, and you can do something like cooldown recovery as a seal. Doesn't really matter, but those stats, or usually this build to get, is quite easy. And this is pretty much, I think, everything from a gears perspective. What did change? By the way, from the passive, nothing did change. So the whole passive tree here and here is the same. Just that you know, I will link also both planners down below. Now, what is different from the Heartseeker tree? Maybe we can compare them here real quick. As you see, we fully focus on the cold one. This is gone, so we have a little bit more room for skill points. I didn't go with this node here because I don't like to use it when I go Morning Frost. With a rogue, it is very difficult to sustain all the resistances, and especially if we go very high with the dexterity, we will drain a lot of physical and cold res. So to even overcap it to get damage bonus will probably not that possible for you. So I prefer more to go into attack speed, global more multipliers here, or more crit multi here. That's pretty much the different setup. So you put points out of here, get more attack speed with low mana cost. You can spam the skill. Here, this one is just more damage for Heartseeker. Here, crit multi. This is pretty much the whole skill tree spec that I change from fire to cold. The rest is the same. And like I said before, I switch Puncture to Dark Quiver in my endgame variant because Puncture, like I said, doesn't have a lot of value in the skill tree. At least here, I can make it auto proc, also similar setup to my multi-shot. I can get Frenzy also here, so I don't need it on Puncture. And I get a little bit less damage over time taken here from the Crimson Shrouds. And importantly, you also get more into endgame. You want a little bit more defenses. You can get the Dust Shrouds here. So you kite around again with WASD. Just follow the black arrows that automatically proc with this node here. Stay inside a smoke bomb with this one, and you should be very high with your glancing blow just by doing this. This is pretty much the whole setup here. What did I forget? Blessing. I told you everything from. Why is this bug not going away? Okay, now it's working again. I think the gear, I already showed you everything. Like I said here with the skills, it's the only respec that I do from Puncture to Dark Quiver. If we probably play higher corruptions, I can already see that Puncture will probably not one-shot Trash Mouse anymore. But this is something that I will find out when I play the live version. So maybe I will even spec out of this and let everything do by Heartseeker and the Icicle procs alone. But we have to see. Normally, in the beginning, this should be the perfect way to get your clear speed and to help you out also with survivability, because otherwise, like I said, all the enemies will just like jump to you and you have no chance to survive. This is pretty much, as I said, the whole setup. I know I hope it's not a very long video. It's a lot to explain. Very dedicated to all this stuff here. You can probably see my passion that I try to maybe over-explain a lot of things. But I think everything should be clear here, why I chose certain passive points, why I will choose certain stats or equipment. So quick summary. Watch my marksman leveling video. Bleed Puncture into Heartseeker, do the respec, we change from dot to the crit chance, or to the crit version. And then your #1 goal while leveling with the fire version, if you find a rune of assassinance, put it immediately on a bow. If you're lucky, you get a Dragonsong. If not, continue with your rare bow. Once you have this one, GG. You will probably rush through the campaign, through normal monolith into endgame. Next goal, you can either continue with the fire version, check the max roll guide, or you do it like I do. You find the Rain of Winter, you farm it, or you go to the bazaar, or you do COF, do some shenanigans here. You can try it out without the 1 LP crit hybrid mod here, but I would probably prefer to stake Dragonsong because it has more quality of life with the mods already on top. But once you get the 1 LP, craft your hybrid crit, and the build goes. Those are pretty much the milestones, like for the whole leveling part. And the transition from fire to cold in the gear is not that big. So they're quite similar scaling here, only from elemental damage to cold damage. And the rest, make sure to get as much resistances, health as possible. That's pretty much it, guys. That's how I will play. Should be a super enjoyable leveling. Also the whole gameplay from range, a lot of projectiles, very good clear speed, very good single target damage with Heartseeker itself. Should be a blast to start with this one and to just destroy endgame. I will do my daily videos. I hope you enjoyed everything what I showed you here. I hope this one helped you out at your league start. If you have questions, leave a comment below and check by my daily videos onwards from Thursday. So good luck, guys. Hope you had fun and see you soon.